Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to show you a lovely page of Starling. So this is the hoop I'm using today, and I normally refer to this as my chair hoop, and you can see it's got a lovely shape here, and that's because it's designed to go under your leg as you sit in a chair. But you put that under your leg and then that keeps everything really still. It's very manoeuvrable. And I really like working with. The base fabric I've got today is a piece of old bed sheet that I rust dyed, but I've chosen a piece of it for my work today. Also, I've got this bit of fabric, which is what was mopping up the ink tense when I was doing ink tense before, and I really like this mark here. And I am going to use that too. I've got all this colourful organza, and some of this was kindly given by a friend, so I'm going to layer up some sort of a sunset picture. I'm set up in my hoop. I've already made a mistake, but like I've said before, I just move onwards. I don't think of it as being a mistake. I should have really not ironed that on until I had my organza for the sky underneath. So I'm going to carry on putting the sky on, and I'm going to deal with that at the end as I come down to it. But what I've done is I have raggedly cut lots of pieces from the organza. So I'm just going to layer it up. The nice thing about organza is the more it gets laid across each other, the more intense the colour gets, and until it's really, really beautiful. I'm just going to put these sort of triangle shapes across. I'm not particularly trying to overlap these ones at the moment. I did want some blue in, so I'm going to put this blue in at the top. I like the way that's laid up. And now I've got this bit's got a bit of blue at the top. I'm going to put that over the whole thing. This bit's got a proper bit of red on it. All of a sudden, we've just got a beautiful sky going. There's another bit of blue. It's actually got a bit green on as well. I think I like that intense blue at the top. I think that looks like a really lovely sunset. I think I want more. I don't know why I used a rust fabric, because I think I've just about covered all the markings up, but not to worry. Well, I'm really happy now with the way I've got this layered up, and I've just got one strand in my needle, and I am just going to start and running stitch over the top of this in just whatever way I fancy, just taking it up and down. I'm not going to use very big stitches, I don't think, because I just want it to be loose. But I'm not going to follow the pieces, I'm going to follow whichever way my fingers and the thread want to go. And by using the larger pieces on top to capture the smaller ones underneath, I'm hoping that one's right there. I'm hoping that I don't actually need to go around each outline, because I don't really want to do that. Sometimes it's just all an experiment, but a nice experiment. Anyway, I'm off and running now. My book's sort of developing as I go, I think. I change my mind all the time. Sometimes I have a very clear idea, and sometimes I don't until I actually start. And then once I've started, I just go with the flow of the stitches. So, I can say I've got a good start now. Colours are great. I've finished layering up and stitching on the organza, and I'm pleased with the way it's layering up. I used the goldy coloured thread here, changed to a darkish red, and then finished off with a couple of layers of blue. And one thing I thought I'd remark to you is I've cut the organza back just beyond the line of my finished page size, so I know that they're going to be in the seam allowance, but also it's also allowing me to finish off on the top, because I can finish in the seam allowance, and I can skip from one to the other by just sewing up the seam allowance, because I know all that's going to be hidden. And the other thing is, I've gone so close to the edge there, I just very carefully cut the organza back to allow my bottom fabric to be there. I've started working on my foreground, and I have just got a single thread of this really nice variegated flower thread that I like. It's just subtly different, and I'm just going to put straight stitches in over the edge of this piece of cloth. For one thing, it's going to make sure the organza is secure, but the other thing is I want it to look like it's distant trees, sort of bare for the autumn or bare for the winter. So I'm not trying to make foliage or anything, I just want the impression of trees. As usual, I try and do one pass to lay in the way of the stitches and sort of get the idea going, and then I'll come back and thicken it all up. Any which way, wherever the needle comes up, I'm happy to place it down again. And it doesn't bother me that I'm going over my sky running stitch at all. And pretty soon, just with straight stitches, you get really good texture going. I've finished laying this piece in now, and I've just used up lots of dark pieces out of my tangle. So there's a bit of navy, there's some black, there's a bit of charcoal, and then there was this really dark brown, and I've gone from using a single strand to there's about 4 strands on the brown. But I quite like the way that's come out, and I might put more in it, but I might not. I've got this really nice chenille that I've never used. It's a bit bright in places, but actually underneath there's some really nice dark brown. And what I'm trying to get on here is a foreground branch. I'm going to come up maybe here, and I will put my thread through and go back down. So I've got the loops onto the front. I'm actually going to put a bit of a twist on before it goes. And what I'm going to be trying to do is making sort of a foreground branch. And then my couching stitches I'm actually going to put in going along the line of the twist, so that they're going to disappear into the branch. So if the twist's going this way, I shall put my thread sort of up the twist. So I don't want the couching thread to be so obvious, I don't think. I'm just going to keep a twist in and couch again. I'm just going to carry on twisting and couching and hopefully getting some sort of a tree branch shape. Still taking quite long stitches over the chenille. Well, it's just a matter of thinking how a tree branch is and doing whatever needs to be done to make it look like it. If you need to look at a reference photo or an image, it's perfectly good. The chenille is really nice to stitch onto. Sort of need a perch for my starling to sit on. I've managed to finish couching down the chenille, and in the end I've just tried to make it look like a tangle of undergrowth with some branches coming through. And now we get to the starlings. So I need a starling silhouette here, and I just looked up a photograph of a starling and I've just cut the piece out of black felt. And so I've got a wing and the starling. I'm not going to bother doing feet, I don't think, but I would like it to be about there. And I thought that the same goldy thread that I did the sky with would actually embroider him. It's actually, they've got a lot of white markings, but this is, maybe you wouldn't see any because it's the evening. So I'm not necessarily going to go around an outline or anything like that. I'm just going to try and make the tiniest little flecks of stitches that will try and say that this is a starling. So I'm not saying it's not going to be in scale or anything, but who knows. I'm hoping this is going to work, because I had the idea in my head for ages that I wanted to do a starling murmuration, because they're so spectacular. And so I thought, well, you can't just do a murmuration in the sky, it's not going to be enough for an embroidery. I did look at lots and lots of photographs and videos of starlings. There's quite a lot online where you can watch people who've uploaded videos of the starlings in flight. So hopefully I can make it look like that. I'll just say the last of the lights catching his feathers or something. That's how I'm thinking of it anyway. I feel I'm getting quite a good image here. Just going to, I've got the wing on. I'm just going to put these little flecks up the back and finish up where his eye is, which, whether you would have seen it or not, I think I need to put it in. And then I'll be on to the murmuration bit. I hope it all works out. I think maybe an eye about, just do a nice French knot with my one strand of thread. It might even be too big. We'll try it. Oh, I think that's okay. I don't know whether I want to do anything on the beak. Maybe. Try it. I can always take it out. I know I don't normally take things out, but I'll just try and give him a separation of beak. I'm happy with how the starling's looking now. So now I'm on to the bit I've made a bit nervous about doing, which is the murmuration. So I sort of want it to be quite huge, but obviously I need to make sure that we can see that it's just tiny little birds. And I feel that little tiny fly stitches will simulate the birds. So I'm intending to do that, buy tons of them. So I've got a single strand at the moment, and I'm just going to start laying them in I'm not going to think of a shape yet. I'm hoping that the shape will just come to me once I've got a few stitches in. Of course they might be overlapping, or I don't know. I just have to see once I'm doing them. They get all sorts of wonderful shapes. Maybe I just have to do with one hand. I think I'm going to dot them about and just see if I can get a shape in, but I'm going to do them all sideways because I feel that's the way they're going to look more like they're flying. If I do them upright, they look like they're standing on their heads maybe. But that's why I wasn't too bothered about stitching all of the organza down, because I knew that eventually it would all be overstitched with starlings. It's a great wonder of nature, I think. Well, I think I'm off to a good start. I'm just going to carry on and see if a shape emerges and see how I get on. But I'm not going to think too much about where they go. I'm just going to hope that by the time I've got a mass of them, they actually look like something. Oh, so far so good. I feel I've definitely got a good shape going now. I've put quite a lot of little starlings in, but the fly stitch is working really, really well, looking like little birds. So I just keep working from left to right and put them wherever, and then go and fill up where I feel as if they need thickening up a bit. So as I work forward, because the fly stitch is sort of working that way, I just sort of move around my fabric until I feel I'm where I need to be. But there's definitely a shape going on, and when I look at them on their videos, they're quite compact usually. They're not you know, sort of all twiddly or fading away. They're usually quite a definitive shape, and so that's what I'll try and make. Fly stitch heaven at the minute. And some of them have little long stalks to catch them down, and some don't have any, but I think that's all fine. Just shows you how one simple stitch can actually give an effect. It's not even a hard shape to do. It's not even a difficult stitch. So if I've gone down to that bit, I sort of need to decide, am I going to carry on downwards and take this down here, or let that be a sort of an edge? And at the minute I think I want that to be an edge, so I'm going to move upwards. I think, to save boring you while I do endless fly stitch, I will carry on until I've finished, and I'll show you the final result. Well, after what seems like hours of making fly stitches, and therefore hundreds of starlings, I think my page is finished. I feel as if maybe I could do a little bit of more branches here, but I'm mainly happy with this. I'm happy with the little starling that looks like he's about to take flight and join the flock, and I'm really pleased with how the sunset sky looks. I did think about putting a sun in there, but I don't think I need to. A starling page. I did end up doing a tiny bit more on the branches at the bottom, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. And you see the starlings swooping about in the sky of an evening. It is wondrous, and little things like that can really give you joy or bring you joy. And so I'm pleased that this is going to be part of my bird book. Please press the like button if you like that, and subscribe to me if you want to see what else is going on my channel. All sorts of bits and pieces. I've been catching up a lot on some of the projects, so they might trickle down over the next couple of weeks or so because I've got them piled up at the moment. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and bye from Marion's World. Bye bye.